I never believed in curses or haunted relics until that rainy afternoon in the cluttered antique shop on Elm Street. The city had been drowning for days, streets slick as oil slicks, and everything muffled in a shroud of gray haze. Elm Street was a forsaken corner of downtown, lined with pawn shops and thrift stores that reeked of mildew and faded regrets. I'd ducked into curios and oddities to escape the downpour after a soul-crushing shift at the coffee shop where I slung lattes around for minimum wage. At 28, I was still adrift, dropped out of art school, bouncing between dead-end jobs, crammed into a dingy apartment with my roommate Sarah. Browsing dusty shelves was my cheap escape, a fleeting dream of owning something beautiful amid the wreckage of my life. The shop was a labyrinth of forsaken treasures, dimly lit by flickering bulbs that buzzed like dying insects trapped in amber. Shelves sagged under tarnished silverware, faded portraits of stern Victorian faces frozen in judgment, and taxidermied birds with glassy, unblinking stares that seemed to follow my every move. The air hung heavy with the scent of aged wood, mothballs, and a faint metallic tang, like old blood lingering in the shadows. My wet sneakers squeaked on warped floorboards as I wandered deeper, until I spotted it. A tall Victorian mirror propped against the wall, its ornate gold frame etched with twisting vines and thorns that curled like grasping fingers. The glass bore a jagged crack down the center, fracturing reflections into uneven, mocking halves. It was elegant, almost regal, despite the flaw, tall enough to capture my full figure, with a patina that whispered of centuries. Price tag, $50. A steal, I thought, to lend a touch of faded grandeur to my squalid bedroom. The shopkeeper emerged from behind a tattered curtain, an old man with skin like crumpled parchment and eyes milky as fogged glass. He shuffled over, cane tapping like a heartbeat in the gloom, and squinted at me. "Interested in that one, eh?" he rasped, his voice gravelly from dust and decades of cigarettes. "It's a beauty, but troublesome. Been here longer than most. Folks bring it back, say it doesn't sit right." "Troublesome how?" I asked, tracing the frame, which felt unnaturally cold, as if it drew the warmth from my fingertips. He glanced at the mirror like it might be listening, his milky eyes darting. "Reflections play tricks, old stories. But if you're set," he shrugged. I laughed it off. Superstitions were for gullible tourists, not me. Raised in a practical family that dismissed anything woo, I paid in damp cash and hauled it to my beat-up sedan. The shopkeeper watched from the doorway, muttering something lost to the rain's relentless hiss. In my third-floor walk-up, reeking of stale takeout and creeping mold, I wrestled the mirror inside. Sarah was at night class, leaving the place unnaturally quiet, except for distant traffic and the drip-drip of a leaky faucet like a slow, accusing whisper. My bedroom was a disaster. Clothes heaped on the unmade bed, scattered sketchbooks for my abandoned art dreams, walls plastered with surreal posters that now seemed to leer at me. I hung the mirror opposite the bed and stepped back. The crack warped my reflection. Dark hair disheveled, green eyes shadowed with exhaustion. I looked tired, utterly defeated. But it was mine. A small, hollow victory. That night, with thunder rumbling like distant growls, I reached for a book. Some old Edgar Allan Poe tales. fitting the storm's malevolent mood. Glancing back, my reflection smiled, a wide, knowing grin with sharp, eager teeth that glinted unnaturally. My own mouth was set in a frown, brows furrowed in confusion. A chill slithered down my spine like icy fingers. I blinked, rubbing my eyes. Fatigue, surely. It normalized, just weary me staring back. "Get a grip, Alan," I muttered. Sleep evaded me. The rain pattered like insistent fingers against the window, and I swore whispers emanated from the glass, murmuring unintelligibly, like secrets buried in a grave. I burrowed under the covers, blaming the storm, but an insidious unease took root in my chest. The next days blurred into a nightmare's mimicry, eroding my skepticism like acid on fragile bone. At first, it was subtle. Brushing my teeth, my reflection lagged a heartbeat, movements jerky like a stuttering film reel from some forgotten horror. I'd freeze, and it'd catch up with a slight flicker. "Optical illusion," I'd whisper, my voice trembling in the empty room. Then, it escalated. Dressing for work, I saw him. Me. But it wasn't me. Laughing with shadowy, twisted figures in an inverted apartment. Muted grays, furniture drifting like ghosts in a void. His eyes gleamed with a manic joy I'd never known. A hunger that made my skin crawl. I slammed my palm against the glass. The scene vanished, leaving only my shocked, pallid face. Whispers seeped in. "Join me. We're the same. Let me in." Cold and intimate, like a voice echoing from the bottom of a well, brushing against my thoughts. I draped a sheet over the mirror, but nightmares invaded. I was lost in a void of fractured glass, my body unraveling thread by thread, while decayed versions of me grinned from multiplying mirrors, their eyes bottomless pits. I'd wake gasping. The sheet slipped off as if by unseen hands, my reflection watching with hungry, insatiable eyes. It bled into waking life. I woke with bruises, purple fingerprints matching my own grip, as if I'd wrestled myself in the dark. Sarah noticed over breakfast in our cluttered kitchen. "Alan, you're acting weird. Talking to yourself last night? Laughing alone? Your smile looked off. Is everything okay?" "Just stress," I lied, paranoia gnawing like teeth in my mind. Was she seeing it too? That afternoon, alone, I hallucinated him stepping out, translucent, fingers elongating through the crack like tendrils of smoke. "We're the same," he whispered inside my skull, his voice a velvet blade. I screamed, backing away. He dissolved, leaving a chill that clung to the air and the faint scent of ozone, like a storm trapped in glass. Desperate, I researched that night, rain pelting the windows like frantic claws, Sarah staying with her sister for the weekend. Online forums unearthed the mirror's history, from 19th century occultist Alara Voss, who believed mirrors were portals to shadow realms teeming with malevolent doppelgangers. The crack was deliberate, a ritual gateway. Entities swapped places by eroding sanity, trapping victims in the glass like insects in the rain. Symptoms matched mine, Delays, whispers, bruises, hallucinations. One warning chilled me. Smash it before the storm. That's when they're strongest. Doubt slithered in. Was I already him, gazing out from the wrong side? The climax struck on a furious, stormy night. Thunder rattling windows like bones in a coffin. Rain lashing in sheets that blurred the world. Power flickered, shadows dancing like eager specters. Alone, I felt the pull to the bedroom, an invisible thread tugging at my soul. In the mirror, he pressed against the glass, fingers splaying, cracks webbing outward like veins of darkness. It's time. You're the reflection now. Panic surged inside me like bile. I hurled objects, a lamp, a chair, but they bounced off, harmless as whispers. His grip clawed into my mind. Was I real? Lightning flashed as he stepped through, his foot dripping shadows that pooled like ink on the floor. Something primal snapped within me. I grabbed an iron poker and swung, shattering the glass in a cascade of glittering shards that screamed like breaking souls. He howled, dissolving into wisps sucked away by the howling wind. Panting amid the debris, I felt relief. The suffocating weight lifted. I gathered the fragments, but one shard caught my eye. It showed my face, and it winked. Not me. Terror seized me like a vice. Was it over? Or had a piece slipped through, burrowing into my veins? Months later, after therapy dismissed it as stress and a new apartment offered false sanctuary, I thought I'd escaped. But brushing my teeth in another pristine mirror, the delay returned. My reflection, lingering a beat too long, its smile too wide, too sharp. Sometimes the void stares back, and sometimes it wins.